Hello and welcome to another episode of We're Not Wizards. My name's Richard. I'll be your host for today, or tomorrow, or in a fortnight, or in PUBG, or whatever Battle Royale game you want to play, because after all, it's your podcast. Now, joining me today is a man who has looked into the eyes of the apocalypse and has stared back into his soul. So rather than running away, he's decided to make a card game out of it. And that card game is now appearing on Kickstarter. And that card game is called Last One In. And it's a zombie-themed card game. And the person that's making it is Mark Talyor. So, hello Mark.
Hello.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Let's gonna have a little chat about your game. This is like a quick start on the Kickstart, and a quick start on the Kickstart. What we do in a quick start on the Kickstart is if somebody's got a Kickstarter project, what we will do is we'll ask them on the show to give us a quick rundown of how the game and a little bit about themselves as well, which is always good. For those joining us for the first time, thank you for joining us. Just want to quash a few rumours about my apparent wizardry. That's lies, slander, and my solicitors are sending out letters to anyone who's claiming otherwise. And thank you for listening. The reason that we do this is because, well, quite simply, there's not enough podcasts about board games. There's us. There's a couple of my Scottish brethren, Unlucky Frog Gaming and Giant Brain, but they're not listening to me anymore when I ask them to form a group. So we're going to try and find some other people. And the other reason that we do this is because we like to speak to Mark and other people called Mark Talyor about their zombie card game, and there only appeared to be one person called Mark Talyor who was doing a zombie themed card game. So that's why that's why we asked him. That'd be a copyright nightmare, wouldn't it? I'd have to decide who came out first. So how are you doing anyway? You know, enough about me spraffing on for like 3 or 4 minutes. How are you, sir?
Not too bad, actually.
Good.
Had a relatively good day.
That's good. Are you taking the time off during the campaign, or are you kind of working away, kind of?
Normally I'm working away, researching stuff, social media posting. However, right now I'm having a break, chatting to you, and currently also playing a computer game. So I'm multitasking a little bit.
What are you playing?
The Witcher 3.
Are you? What, right?
Yes.
Right now at the same time?
Yes.
That's absolutely ridiculous. How dare you? Where how far are you in the game?
I just started Act 3, I think.
All right, okay. Is it?
Yeah.
I've heard some good things about The Witcher 3. I'm so glad it's such a good game that it's not able to take your attention away from doing a podcast.
Well, it's actually more of a nerves thing, you know. It's helping me focus on something else, which then means I don't get embarrassed.
Oh, don't worry about that. It's not like I embarrass anybody. Much. Obviously we weren't going to talk about Last One In, but we're going to find out a little about your history.
No worries,
sir.
Fire away.
Where were you?
Probably favourite last words.
Exactly. You just couldn't be it. So, when you were at high school, what was your favourite subject?
Boringly
you just
enough,
said fire away, didn't you? So
yeah. Boringly enough, it was maths.
There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody needs maths. Did you enjoy it?
Yes and no. Is probably the parts, parts that you understandably would enjoy. Really, I enjoyed.
I just don't think there's any way to make a conversation about maths at school kind of exciting and interesting.
No,
it's just
not at all.
Not gonna happen. But obviously maths is numbers, and numbers could be D&D, and it's like 3, 2, 1 with Ted Rogers. and only UK people will get this, and only UK people over a certain age will get this, and they're probably not listening into the podcast or interested in board games. But I mean, how did you get involved in the hobby? I guess.
It kind of a variety of things, really. I guess. I started playing, your household board games and stuff as a child growing up.
Yeah.
And then I seemed to just break away from board games, family board games as they would be called.
Yeah.
And went on to playing console games. My first proper console was the Sega Mega Drive.
Okay. What games you're playing on that? Did you get in at the beginning, or did you get in into like a couple of years down the line? Because that's kind of important.
I would say I got in at the beginning.
Yeah.
Like relatively early on in the beginning, at least. Anyway.
All right. Okay.
And
what was your favourite games?
Oh, now you're asking.
I am asking.
Altered Beast is probably one of my favourites.
No. Really?
As enjoyably frustrating as it was.
Yeah. I hated it. I didn't like it at all. I just bounced off it. But then I played Altered Beast after I was playing Revenge of Shinobi. And that was one of the finest crafted video games.
That was one of my other favourite games
in existence. It was just amazing. It was all the little cameos and stuff like that. So I absolutely loved that. Sonic the Hedgehog.
You have to, don't you? It's Sega.
It has to.
Sonic, Sega. Kind of go hand in hand. But there was a few others. So you probably would have heard of James Pond.
Yes. But did you play the first one or did you play the second one? Because it was James Pond, and there was James Pond 2, which is Robocod.
I think it was the second.
Was it the second one?
Which was just.
It was the one where he kind of stretch
his body.
And it was just like the level where you could there was a whole level you had to reach the very, very top, and if you timed it right, you could just stretch your way all the way up to the top and kind of miss some of like the most difficult levels in the game.
I did not know that.
Did you not? Did you use the cheats at all?
No.
What?
I probably just played. I think at the time I just played through it. I can't even remember if I completed it or not.
Did you not?
I'll be honest.
I think you fought Santa at the end, or a bad. I think you fought like a bad Santa. Do you remember how the cheats worked though? In Robocod though, there was like items you could collect, and there were the first letter, if you got them in a certain order, spelled out different things you could get. So there was one which was like, it spelled out the word lives, and if you collected it in the right order, then you got infinite lives. It was really, 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 really cool. Did you stay with the Mega Drive all the way through? Did you get any of the Japanese import stuff like Gainug or Zero Wing or anything like that at all?
Unfortunately, I didn't. Being a young teenager at the time, it was out of my control as to what was purchased. That and the console was technically my sister's, so I just played on it more than they did.
just hung about the room. Did you not eventually manage to kind of like just take control of it and sneak it into your own room, or was it constantly in her room all the time?
No, it kind of stayed in the living room, so the main front room essentially. Yeah. So it was just always there, and unfortunately, I didn't really go out that much and stuff.
Yeah.
Won't go into too much of the personal side of things, but I think it's easy to say that I'd rather stayed at home. And yeah, I just spent many a times, if not entertaining my dogs, playing on the Sega. So
it's not bad. I think I ended up playing a lot of EA Hockey. when I was a lad. The first one, I think it was the 92 one, which was still the first one and the best. And obviously John Madden as well. Kind of liked a bit of John Madden now and again. Did you stay with the consoles? Did you move up to like Super Nintendo, Dreamcast, all that
no,
stuff?
Sadly,
No.
It was kind of the from the Mega Drive. I think the next console that I got was the PlayStation.
Really? That's a
and yeah, and that then I kind of stayed with that, and pretty much then Sony all the way, really. Hence now playing Witcher 3.
Just now, right now. Oh, watch out for him. He's going to hit you. I'm just to say random things like that all the time and just put you off.
It's fine.
How did you then make the transition from electronics to cardboard?
It was started with card games, actually. A friend of mine got me into playing Yu-Gi-Oh!
All right, okay.
Quite some time ago. And then transitioned from that to Magic the Gathering, and then kind of from there, really. It then kind of, I suppose, a few years ago, I guess you could say something just clicked inside, and I decided I wanted to try and create a game of my own. I felt that it was, worth a go. Thought I gave it a go, and I started working with a few friends of mine on a TCG, which is a trading card game.
Yeah.
Which wasn't actually last one in. And got down to the early stages of playtesting with that, and then again had a few personal things happen, which then caused a bit of a setback for about a year, unfortunately. And then, as people will find out once they read the Kickstarter anyway, one morning, after a relatively good night's sleep, I woke up, early hours of that morning, I had a relatively intriguing dream, of which was me demoing a game with someone at a shop. And that was the first stages, really, of development for Last One In.
So was it going to always be a card game then? I mean, because of the Magic the Gathering stuff. Did you have a reasonable collection of like Magic the Gathering?
Yeah, and also Yu-Gi-Oh! I still have my Yu-Gi-Oh! Collection, which probably amasses of
How many?
Thousands.
Mark, how many? Don't, because you're a collector, so you know exactly how many cards you got. How many cards you got?
It's probably
There's no shame here. There's no shame.
A good few thousand.
A few thousand. How many thousands have you got, Mark?
I wouldn't be able to tell you how many exactly. Or I could tell you how many.
Is it more than
boxes.
5?
It probably is.
Love it.
There probably is. There's at least a folder of at least, I would say, probably about 1,000 cards.
Really? Did you get them all? I mean, did you actually get them all? I mean, is there ones that you kind of like have got triple sleeved in their own book that are kind of worth some money now, or is it just a case of are Yu-Gi-Oh cards worth money? I don't know.
Yes, yeah, they are sickeningly worth lots of money. Actually,
have you? You sound like a guy that maybe doesn't have all the cards that are worth lots of money.
I think I have some. Yeah. I think there's a few particular archetypes of collections that I, wanted to have, and that I actually built relatively good or strong decks out of them. One is the Elemental Heroes, or Heroes as they're also known as, and they have a folder of their own. There's also Light Swans, which again have a folder of their own. For aesthetically pleasing aspects, I also have Crystal Beasts.
All right.
Of which every single Crystal Beast is foil. That's probably worth a good few hundred. And I will probably stop there.
for the sake of people casing the joint, as you would
Yeah.
say. Where does this Mark guy live? Let's go and find out. He says like he's quite sorted for his card. The only thing I know about Yu-Gi-Oh! Is it's like one of these things they get like attack points and they add like about 5 zeros on the end. Am I being harsh?
That's correct.
Am I being harsh or am I being true? Because it makes kind of like, I'm a bear of very small brain, and looking at stuff that's got like lots of zeros, I instantly go, I'm not playing that. I'll get confused.
Interesting enough, you're not wrong. No, it's that the cards do have, on average, 100 or 1,000 attack or defense points, or in excess of those numbers. But it all kind of balances itself out because of the way that the combat style works in Yu-Gi-Oh! If your creature's in attack position, let's say, you're then actively choosing to attack certain creatures your opponent has.
Yeah.
Or your creature would be face down, which is face down defense position. And again, if your opponent attacks it and then that creature turns up, if its defense is higher than the attacking creature, then if I remember correctly, the opponent takes the difference in the damage, but your creature doesn't die. If I remember, I haven't played it for quite a while, so the rules might have changed. If I'll be honest. But yeah, so once you look at the fact that the numbers are just the power and toughness, or the attack and defense of those cards, it ends up, that side of it ends up not being the issue. The issue then becomes when you play a friend or whatever, or just a generic opponent, I guess, and they go and summon a whole bunch of monsters on their first turn, and you haven't had a turn yet, and then it's like, okay, I've lost. Good game.
Yeah, I've seen that. I don't know where it was, but I just see folk like kind of these big chainy combo things, and they go like that, and it's like, okay, so I play my Sharpie pen monster, then I play my mic monster, then I play my lamp monster, then I play my glasses case monster, then I play my glasses, then I play my glasses cleaning cloth, then I play my table, then I play my carpets, and you're dead. And the guy's like, I'm just taking my jacket off, kind of on the other side. Can I just put it down here? Is that okay? Because I've seen that on video after video. I have also seen, I think I've seen a few kind of table flips, which is always good, because you see the guy going, I'm going to do this and do that, and there's my tomatoes and my broccoli and my cucumber and bleh. And then the guy just stands up and just goes, and then just walks away. Did you put together combos and stuff like that? I mean, is that kind of, did you get involved in any kind of local tournament type things, or?
The only things I did was what was called pre-releases or pre-shows, which was when a new set would come out, and you would go there to the event. You would get your pre-release packs, essentially.
Okay.
You would then have to construct a deck out of those and play a game. And that's kind of what I did. They were kind of fairer in the sense that everyone's kind of at the same level.
Because it kind of goes under the radar, because people seem to go Magic, and then they go Pokemon, and then some folk go kind of Yu-Gi-Oh, and then you see the people that are playing Magic and Pokemon go, Yu-Gi-Oh. But is it kind of, I mean, it still seems to sell by the bucket load. I mean, my son, he seems to kind of play Yu-Gi-Oh. Is Yu-Gi-Oh better than Pokemon? Is it like kind of Betamax and VHS that ultimately, Yu-Gi-Oh is like the Betamax of the card game, and Pokemon's like the VHS, but the VHS is just like more popular. Is that kind of how it is? And people who are younger than 40 are just not going to get that at all.
No. I'll be honest and say I don't know. I personally would say that I think each game has its pros and cons, and people play each game differently for their own right and their own reason.
That's an incredibly diplomatic answer. So you agree with me that Pokemon is worse compared to Yu-Gi-Oh?
No, not at all. I think that, as I said, I think that they're all equally good in their own merit.
Yeah.
And it depends on the person, depends on the players, and just generally on what players are able to or capable of doing, and even equally afford.
Yeah.
So, Pokemon, I believe that you don't have to spend a whole lot of money on the decks to, on the cards to build the decks that you want to build.
No.
And there is still that, there is still a kind of fun element to play in Pokemon. It's not, I'm going to beat you instantly in as quickly as I can. And there is that a bit of a back and forth process. I believe I only ever played Pokemon once just to see what it was like. So
just walked away and went, I've had enough of that. That's rubbish. I'm not playing that. No, Barry. I'm not playing that again, Barry. No,
it was.
Stick out your back pocket,
I was
Barry.
intrigued. Yeah.
Where's my deck?
No, I was just generally intrigued. I think
I was poke curious.
Poke curious.
Oh dear.
I think for me also there was the cost was an overarching factor. So at the time, I was shamefully putting a lot of money into Yu-Gi-Oh.
Exactly. I was going to say that the cost was a factor, says Bad with 6,000 Yu-Gi-Oh cards behind them. Just like $14.99 just breaks a man for a starter set. But was that so the same reason? I mean, you mentioned obviously Magic. So did you build up a Did you finish off Yu-Gi-Oh and walk away from it and stick it into Magic? I mean, have you tried? Were you a Netrunner guy? Did you get into your Netrunner, or did you not bother with that? No.
Again, it's the cost.
Yeah.
No, it was honestly a case of as you rightly said. So I was playing into the Yu-Gi-Oh. Didn't really go and play it for the competitive element of it, and tried to play it just as it was or for quite fun. And the function or the factor that you can win in relatively quick turns kind of caused me to just lose the appeal for Yu-Gi-Oh. And then said same friend that got me into Yu-Gi-Oh then got me into playing Magic.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been playing Magic ever since. And simply because although there is a heavy cost to play Magic, you don't need to effectively go and spend money on every set that comes out, or buy every expensive card that there is.
Is Magic any good? Because people say, yeah, it's really, really good. But I played it. I don't like it. I kind of walked away from my Magic experience going, that was a bit disappointing. I was expecting fireworks and angels and rainbows and kind of kittens and stuff, and I just I won. But it
depends. It depends on what you want from what you would have wanted from Magic is, I would say, probably the thing.
Too much I probably wanted from Magic. I think it was just it couldn't give me what I wanted at the end of the day. Just one of these things. But I'm conscious we're just going off on lovely tangents. But I mean,
as long as that's fine with you,
I've absolutely no problem with it. This is Tangent City and Tangent Street. Postcode is TNGENT2. But so you still quite? I mean, are you still quite a kind of an avid Magic collector now? Do you still go out and buy the packs, or are you kind of like, well, I'm not going to bother getting a big deck every 6 months. I'm quite happy with kind of what I've got just at the moment.
Yeah, so I do kind of do a thing where I try to at least buy one box, not a booster box, but what's called a bundle box set of every new set that comes out.
Yeah.
Just for the collection purposes. Because after all, we're all nerds. And you have to, collect something.
Nerds unite. We gotta collect something. We gotta collect something. No.
And so yeah, that's kind of what I do. In saying that, I've not invested in the recent set of Magic that came out. Simply, I guess, haven't had the time to actually play and stuff because of attending events for Last One In, and spending more of my money on Last One In than on Magic. So,
tell us about Last One In. I mean, you mentioned that it came to you in a dream. So
yes,
that must have been some dream.
I know you laugh, and
I'm not, because it's just a part of your consciousness working its way out, and that's how ideas come from. So I ain't gonna laugh at another man's dreams,
Oh no! I mean, you're not laughing in a bad way, but it is. I do think it's funny when I say it myself. But yeah, it was quite weird, really, that it was not like what you would expect. That it was like, it's a zombie themed game, so typically you would think, oh, it's a dream about zombies. It's a dream about being chased by zombies, or killing zombies, or something along those lines. But it wasn't. It was the fact that it was a dream actively, having like an interview with someone, demoing the game with them, like in a game shop / coffee shop place. That was, I guess, that was the part of it that made it quite interesting and intriguing for me. And yeah, and then obviously woke up, made notes, and then started working away on on making it into something, which
is this where it
yeah.
came from? How did you go through the process? I mean, is it? I mean, I can't imagine card games. I can imagine. I mean, I've got several board games in my mind in development. I don't think I could do a card game, because I think what would happen is I'd develop a card game and then somebody would come on and go, "That's OP," and then that just destroys everything. And it's just kind of getting the balance and stuff like that. Was it because of your background in Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic that kind of building a kind of a game which had some card elements to it was like a natural progression for you, as opposed to maybe doing a kind of a full-on, I don't know, worker placement game or something like that instead?
Yeah, I would say exactly that. Obviously, there are a few other card games that I've played that had influenced, what I had made with Last One In. Although it's can be considered a board game as well. You have Munchkin, which was a game that I played quite a lot with friends.
Yeah.
And also a game called Star Realms, which is
I've never heard of that. People have spoken about it all the time. I've heard it's quite good. I'm still trying to deny this, because Sean at Thing 12 Games is still constantly beating me. I would like to make it known public for the record that when I publicly stated if he went against me without using gambits and just the base game, I would kick his ass. Guess what happened? I kicked his ass. So bring it on, Sean, because it's obvious you need your gambits. I'm just saying. Star Realms is good. I like Star Realms a lot. I have a lot of fun with Star Realms. It's almost like my go-to kind of... It's my cup of tea game. Do you know what I mean? It's like, what are you going to do? I'll sit down, I'll get a cup of tea. You know what I mean? I'll go out for a walk, I'll get a cup of tea. Get up in the morning, get a cup of tea. It's the game that's kind of constantly there in the background because I play. Do you play the app or do you play
the cards?
You actually play the cards. Do you play the app? Mm-hmm. Do you play the app at all?
No. I kind of keep it just to the cards. It's more controlled that way.
All right.
In the sense that if I want to play it, I then have to actively, take the cards with me and find someone to play.
Yeah.
As opposed to just playing a computer.
Yeah. No, I play the app all the time. That's why me and Sean have this continual kind of battle and war kind of going on. Which, I don't want to go into because it's like it's bringing our stuff to the table when we should be bringing your stuff to the table.
That's fine.
When you started off with the first iteration of the game, did you have to strip it back at all? I mean, when you started, were you like, whoa, big game, and then strip it back, or did you kind of build it up over a period of time because it was like a card game?
I would say that there was kind of a little bit of both, oddly enough. So one of the major things that had to happen was with the way the numbers worked in the game itself. As an example, the building cards in the game have not only do they have a number capacity in the top right corner, but they also have a choose or draw option, which is the draw function for the game. And originally, the choose or draw options matched the corresponding capacity of the building.
Right.
So if the capacity was 5, then the choose or draw option was relatively low. So it'd be like choose 1 or draw 2, or choose 2, draw 1. And I found that that didn't work so well. And also the numbers on the civilian and zombie cards, they were more sporadic. In the sense that there was more of a variety of them. The numbers went from 1 to 10.
Yeah.
But you had cards that were numbered 7, 8, and 9, as well as and 6.
Yeah.
As well as all the other numbers. And with the zombies, they were originally you had 1s, 2s, 3s, 4, 5, 10s, 15, and 20s. Well, some of the lower numbers just didn't work. And with that, and then also with the buildings, the game just went one way or the other, like almost all the time with playing. And so, I frustratingly worked on it and trying to get the number, algorithm correct, essentially, for probably about 3 months, and it was just frustrating me more and more as to why it just wouldn't work. And it's like, visually it worked, but then just from the numbers aspect it didn't. And there was always that thing, and I couldn't put my finger on it. And then I kind of went away from it for probably for about a month and a half, and then just literally one day, went back to it, sat down at it, and it just clicked, and everything then just seemed to fall in place, and it was almost effortless as well, which was just really weird. And then that was like almost a complete, it did get to a point where it's just like, I'm gonna just not bother with this and just move on to something else. But I persevered, and as I say, I then took that break and then went back to it and redid all the numbers, and it then seemed to be correct.
It's an unusual premise because normally in a kind of a zombie, any type of zombie game, you're playing as one of two sides. You're always either the zombie apocalypse, the zombie horde, or you're the survivors, or everybody plays the survivors, and the deck is kind of like the zombie horde. So everybody it's in a co-op manner, or it's a kind of an adversarial kind of manner. But the difference with what you've done is you've kind of said, well, you're kind of both, because you've got your own set of survivors, and then you've got your own set of civilians, and you've either got to rescue 50 civilians or kind of inflict kind of like, I guess, 100 kind of zombies on you, kind of your opponents.
Correct.
Have you seen anything that's kind of similar to that? Because I don't remember seeing something where it's been kind of like a double side kind of thing.
Yeah, well, I guess it's a nice point to kind of really say that it's why it's kind of where the story element for Last Running comes into play.
Yeah.
Because although it's a card game, you can look at the game and see that there's also, as I say, a story behind it as well. So in a theoretical zombie apocalypse, you're not just the zombies are there. The zombies are effectively killing people, but if they're what would be typically the traditional slow moving zombies, then would cause more of a hindrance than actually being like, oh my god, we're going to die because that zombie's running at us.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So it's kind of like that. So you are a survivor. You are trying to band other survivors together, and essentially or effectively save them, by by finding them places to live. Unfortunately, you've got someone else the other side of the town that's doing the same thing, and somewhere in the middle there's these roaming zombies that you're finding that are being coerced into or onto your side of the town.
Yeah.
Which is essentially what's happening when you play out the game and play out the cards.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know how that answers that question.
It's good as answer as any, Mark. But I mean, did you get a chance to kind of like play test this? Did you get a chance to kind of get it out there in front of people's kind of faces, get their kind of input on it as well?
Yeah. So we spent a good year like playtesting the game. Started off with close circle of friends, then moved on to like going into local shops and game shops and whatnot, and getting people to come and play the game, and then at that point I then found an artist for the game.
Yeah.
Who then we sat down and he then started coming up with ideas for, well, we started coming up with ideas for the artwork and how the art style would look and whatnot. He then put together some basics for civilians and zombies, of which is what is currently being used and had been used to demo the game to then like further afield into a wider audience, of which then also then extended into more, playtesting, ironing out the rules for the game.
So what are you doing a round? I mean, what's a round like? If I'm sitting down in front of you and the first thing you say is what are you doing in my house? I mean,
how did you
exactly? I'm going to call the police quickly. That's okay. I've got your phone, Mark. It's quite safe.
But first, do you want to play a game of Last One?
Last One. Yeah, I'm down with that. How'd you play?
So once you've decided who's going to go first and whatnot, each player is dealt 5 cards. So that would be 2 buildings each from the building deck, and then 3 cards each from the town deck.
Yeah.
Which is where all the civilians, zombies, and other cards of similar sort go to or exist. And then a turn phase. So say I was to go first. A turn phase would be 6 phase or 6 actions during that phase. You would have player building. You would then have choose or draw cards. You would then have rescue civilians, attack with zombies, play a neutralization card, and then your discard phase.
Mm-hmm.
And on each of those steps, you do the corresponding thing. So, again, as I say, for example, the rescue civilians, you would play a civilian card from your hand onto your open building.
Yeah.
Now, I say open building because you can only have one. And that's your... once that building's filled... you then, on your next turn, you can then play a new building. So that's
and the building,
your first...
and that's the building cards that have got a number at the top to tell you how many
Correct,
you can put in. See, I'm listening.
Thanks. So that is the first, the first one of the start again. So that's the factor for that.
Yeah.
And you would then, as I say, then go through that phase. I won't go into all the phases in detail because that can take a little while.
And you're worried I'm going to do a Joseph Norris on you and just cut you off.
However, if
that was a mistake, can I just say? I thought we'd moved on.
It's fine. However, I will highlight one of the other phases. It's what makes Last One In different. Is the discard phase for the game. Now, typically, in most games, if you have a phase, you have to discard cards. They're typically not a bad side to discard in those cards. However, in Last One In, if you discard cards, which you can discard any card from your hand except a building, simply because a building cannot become a zombie.
Yeah.
And this is because any card you discard goes to your zombie horde zone, and then counts towards the zombies in your zombie horde. So whatever the number is on the corresponding card. So if you discard a civilian card that has the number 5 on, that's 5 civilians that you have just made or just turned into zombies.
All right. Okay.
And it's then goes into like a bit more of a detail of things with these buildings with these choose or draw options. So one of the favourites is choose 3 or draw 6. Now drawing 6 cards is straight from the top of the town deck.
Okay.
The choosing 3 cards and or any card that has a choose option. That's from what's called the town square. Now the town square consists of 5 face-up cards, which all come from the town deck. Mm-hmm. And so you get that option to do that. Now your hand limit, which is also an equally important factor, is you can only hold 6 cards in your hand.
Ah, right, okay.
Yeah. So, and with playing cards, you can only play, although phase 3, 4, and 5 are optional, which is rescue civilians, attack with zombies, play a neutralization card. You can only play one of each card if you choose to play a card during each phase. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So again, it ends up being quite, heavy, micromanagement with managing what you've got in your hand, managing what you're, what you can and can't play, what you're choosing and drawing, and essentially that's then what makes the game good and fun and exciting, and makes you want to play more.
Maybe you've mentioned that some of the things that you're considering is kind of like expansions for the game as well, to bring on kind of potentially different civilians and as well, potentially different, even different zombies too. Was that is that again kind of going back to your original kind of, Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh roots about doing something that you would allow the game to kind of grow a bit, but not kind of cut people out if they didn't get the expansions?
Exactly, yeah. Basically, the main thing to take into account with that is, it would be very much like Star Realms in the sense that every pack would have the same cards in.
Yeah.
So no one, there is then a case of saying it would be optional, for people to purchase the packs. It'd be optional for people to play them. However, one of the biggest important factors is that the deck sizes have to remain the same, currently at least anyway. So if you take out cards, you then replacing cards of the same number value.
Okay.
Yeah, and it is just essentially to add, and would be to add more variety to the gameplay, to keep people, engaged in playing and enjoying, playing Last One In equally as well. So one of the if you want, I can give you an example of one of the cards we're looking.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
At adding in is now on the Kickstarter page. There is an option for a stretch goal for these cards called situation cards. Yeah. Now, situation cards would be cards that have an environmental effect. So, for example, one of them could be, because we're keeping them secret for the moment as the ones that will be revealed, but one of them could be, say, a snowstorm, of which would affect the zombies and reduce the zombie totals in both players' piles by half.
Yeah.
Up to, say, a number of turns. And at that point, once the turns are over, the totals of zombies would then become what they were originally. And and because they then affect both players, there's no advantage or disadvantage on either side.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, in a similar sense, actually, with all the cards in the game and generally how the game plays out, one of the main overarching elements is choice. Every action you make is your choice. So if you choose to put a building down with a bad choose or draw option, then and the total it requires to fill it is quite high, then that you may potentially be stuck with that building for quite a few turns.
Yeah.
Equally, attacking with zombies and rescuing civilians, it's a choice. However, that if you don't fill your building with civilians, you can't save them, which then means that you're prolonging your ability to win by rescuing civilians. Attacking with zombies, you can attack, you don't have to, but if you do attack, there is that choice or that chance those zombies can be redirected back to you with one of the cards in the game. Called it's probably one of the most favorite cards, zombie related cards, at least anyway. He has two effects. Well, his effect is called decoy, and it's split into two halves. The first half you can play it on your turn into your opponent's zombie horde. The effect would trigger, and your opponent would have to choose another zombie from the town square, and then add that to their zombie horde as well. And the numbers on these decoy zombies are either 5, 10, 15, or 20. So it could mean that you're giving them a 5 zombie decoy. And then they're taking another, say, 5, or the only option in the town square could be a 20 zombie. So then you're giving them 25.
Yeah.
However, they could then have a decoy in their hand. They could then use the one in their hand for effect number 2, which is interrupt a zombie card played against you, and redirect both cards back to your opponent's zombie horde.
Ouch.
Yeah. And with a situation like that,
sting. That's a hard situation.
It does, but you chose to be, aggressive and play the decoy for effect 1. So
you were good.
It'd be a case of looking at, it's like, well, you kind of asked for it, I just so happen to have this card in my hand that can do this.
Yeah, I'm gonna kick your ass.
Yeah.
As with all things in relation to Kickstarter.
Yeah.
How have you found the marketing side of things? Kind of approaching that side of things, getting the noise out, getting the word
out. Honestly, tough, challenging, and equally understandably so. If you want to get your game out there, you want to get something that you've made out there, you have to put in the work and the time and the effort to generate that interest, to generate the social media presence, and get people interested, not only in your game, but I believe in you as well as the creator, or me, obviously, as the creator, of course.
I've not created nothing, and I've been sitting at your table for like 5 minutes, and you still ain't offered me a cup of tea, Mark. What's going on? Was it? Have you found it quite challenging to get you said you found it quite challenging to get the kind of the word out? So have you thought about an approach for that? Kind of how your kind of your general strategy, I guess.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, for me, it kind of well, my first approach really that I chose to do was to take the game and essentially demo it to as many stores and or places that I could demo the game to, like events, like recently at UK Games Expo in Birmingham, and trying to generate the interest there, as well as join in Facebook group pages for board game, related information or related stuff, and then again, essentially just trying to also generate interest by hashtags as well. So within reason and with as long as it again correlates to your game, using the appropriate hashtags to then hopefully that people that are just navigating Twitter or Instagram then come across your item, they like your items or your pictures, or your tweets, and they then follow you, and then so then when you post something again, it shows up on their page. If they then like it, they tend to then retweet it, which then their friends or their followers then see it, and you then there's an element of hope that some kind of snowballing effect would then occur, or ripple effect of people then liking stuff through liking stuff.
Yeah. How did you find the UK Games Expo? I mean, did that help with the campaign?
It did, and I found it better than the one I did last year,
right,
which was at MCM Comic Con. Obviously, UK Games Expo is purely board games, so it kind of goes without question that it was the better choice. And unfortunately, last year I missed out on the opportunity to attend that, which is why I then went with the MCM to try and generate the interest. But it's nice. And just with, to be honest, as with any convention, and again, I'm going to say this in a way that's you might laugh, but being a nerd, you go to something like this, you tend to not want it to end, and you feel like at home with everyone else.
Yes.
That's
why I don't go. It's too many nerds for me.
Too many nerds.
Too many nerds and potential wizards, to be honest. I don't want to be hanging about with these people. No, I mean, I know exactly what you mean. I mean, you can walk into a place like that and instantly feel comfortable, and you know that if somebody walks up to the table, it's not like the local book festival where you've maybe booked out a table, or even the Comic Con where you get folk walking up to you and going, well, what's this? Then cards. What's this? Is this Magic the Gathering? And kind of then walking away kind of thing. That people are willing to kind of maybe give you the time and find out more about the game, because I think one thing that's prevalent among the board game community is with so many titles going about, there's always a wish that people don't want to be missing out on the next big thing, which you see the kind of like who's got the potential lightning in the bottle kind of thing. So I think people are more open to kind of looking at what you have to offer and seeing, oh, actually this could be quite good, I reckon, which is always kind of quite good as well. I mean, you've been, and I have to mention this, you've been on Getting Geeky with Game Relief as well. So,
Yes.
I mean, even doing things like podcasts, was that kind of completely new territory for you too?
Extremely. I would be completely honest and say that if any listeners go from listening to this podcast to the Getting Geeky with Leafy, then I would say I apologise. Because that was my very first podcast.
That's fine.
And I was nervous. I probably should have, adapted or adopted the same method I'm doing with yourself, because it seems to be getting a lot easier. Having my mind kind of splitting in half, and doing two things at once.
Just seems to have worked wonders. So,
yes.
So what I'm going to say next time is, have you got Audacity? Do you have a Skype or Discord account? Do you have a headphones? Or do you have The Witcher 3 on the PlayStation 4 that you can play while you're talking to me? Because I've been told that it helps with focus. Thanks very much, Mr. Talyor.
Well, it helps me. I mean, a lot of other people
will be a
lot more confident.
Obviously try to get a bit of validation in my life, and it appears it came a bit short. It's okay. How do we step into the door of your city, of your game? How much do you have to pay? What's the pledge levels?
So at the moment on the Kickstarter, we do still have early birds available, which are £15 per copy.
£15? What'd you get for that?
So for £15, you would get a copy of the game, any stretch goals that are succeeded or reached, and also some PDF posters, which are obviously for free, as an additional thanks.
It's like the PDF posters are £52 a shot.
Yeah.
That's how we're going to hit those stretch goals. You get 124 cards, you get a couple of dice, you get 84 double-sided tokens. You also like how you've listed, you also get the rule book. Don't say we're not spoiling you. We'll actually tell you how you're able to play the game. That's so kind of you, Mark.
Well, it's just just kind of went on what other people listed, and again, just advice.
Yeah.
From other people that had, run Kickstarters, of being or trying to be, as honest as you can with what people would receive. So then
exactly
they know at the when they receive it, they know exactly what they're getting. And I will mention interest.
Yes, do this. Interrupt away.
Interrupt. No, I do apologise.
Not apologise. Don't apologise to me. Oh my goodness.
So, one of the things that is probably worth mentioning, as it is on a new thing we have on the our Kickstarter this time round, because the Kickstarter is our second for Last One In. And that thing is a pledge level which is called the King of the Dead.
Yeah.
Now, the King of the Dead, with everything that the Kickstarter says about Last One In, and also with what people have mentioned on some of the reviews that we have as well, about how the game plays out and whatnot, the King of the Dead changes that. So, as an example, if you were to go and play a standard 1v1 game, and you and your opponent are trying to rescue 50 civilians or make the opponent lose to 100 zombies, and you both decide that you're going to play with the King of the Dead edition as well, you then get to choose to either have him in play at the start of the game, of which currently he exists outside the game world, or you can both agree to shuffle him into the town deck. Now, when he comes into play, he swaps the win and lose condition. and reverses some of the way the cards are played in the game as well.
All right.
So yeah, you'll go from, if you play with them in the deck, as an example, you'll go from 1 minute to rescuing civilians to then rescuing zombies to win. And vice versa, you would then be losing to civilians, or go from losing to zombies to then losing to civilians.
Oh, okay. So that's part of that's one of the levels you can pledge for then?
Yes. So he is a £25 pledge on the Kickstarter.
Oh.
And you would get everything that you would get with the core game, or just as the basic pledge level or the early bird pledge level. But in addition to that, you would also get the King of the Dead card, and then his alternative rules, which does apply to all of the formats of play. Which wasn't something we really covered on. The game isn't only just a 1v1.
Mm-hmm.
It does also open up to a 3-player or 4-player all versus all, and a 2 versus 2 team game as well.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Of which the rules change slightly in each format.
Just carry on. I'm just in the middle. I'm just hacking some stuff while you're talking, because we could both play this game. I'm moving house, Mark. Just got to move this box. Yeah, that's better.
That's alright.
That's fine. But at the moment you have got. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do other things while I was speaking to people, except Sean. Maybe that's a different thing altogether. 20 days to go at the time of recording.
Yes.
You have got a funding level of £7,000, and you are you're over a third of the way there. Still plenty of time, but obviously, if people are looking for something a bit different, where you can play it as the zombies and also as the Great Unwashed, then they should consider. Well, you would be if it's a zombie apocalypse. It's not like you can have a shower every day. You're going to be slightly unwashed. I'm just justifying them. I realise I'm digging myself into a hole, trying to claw my way back out again.
It never works. Trust me.
Never. You
might as well just, if you're going to dig a hole, you might as well just
just go in both feet. Just jump straight.
And just don't stop. You're going to get to the point eventually where you can't go any further, and once you get that point, you then know that you then have to work your way out. So you might as well just get there first, and then
just see me at the bottom covered in dirt, just wearing my Je ne regrette rien t-shirt, sticking the finger up at anybody who gives me an awkward look, because that's how I roll.
It's like, look, I put myself here. I know. I regret it.
Exactly. Don't.
Maybe throw me a rope down, like, and
or throw me a bone at least, something like that.
Yeah.
Where can we find you on the internet webs?
So obviously, as you've mentioned yourself already, we are on Kickstarter at the moment. Mm-hmm. We are also Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And
what are you on Twitter?
So on Twitter, we are at Last One In Game.
Okay, and you're on, I take it, as you say, what we'll do is, I take it Facebook's Last One In Game as well, or something like that. I mean, obviously what we'll do is we'll make sure that we get all of the links so we can put it in the show notes, so we have notes to show.
So yeah, the Facebook is also at Last One In Game.
Okay.
Thanks. I tried.
But as I say, we will make sure that we put the Kickstarter links in the show notes, so that if you like what you hear tonight, or today, or this morning, or tomorrow, then you can click on that link and you can consider helping Mark out. If you like what you've heard and you want to keep an eye on what we're up to, you can go to Twitter, which is We're Not Wizards. You can go to Facebook, which is We're Not Wizards. You can go to YouTube and search for We're Not Wizards. You'll find us there, because all of our podcasts are automatically put in to YouTube by our fantastic podcast host, Podbean. You can find us on places like Instagram. You can find us. We've got Blogspot, which is we'renotwizards.blogspot.com. You can go to our site, which is we'renotwizards.com. If you fancy chucking us a buck and helping support the show, you can go to our Patreon. I know I never mention it because I am shamed, and it kind of makes me feel funny. But you can go to patreon.com/we'renotwizards. You can find us on all the good podcast places such as Spreaker and Stitcher and Acast and Podknife and Player FM and Acast and all these wonderful places. If you like us very, very much, please consider dropping us a subscription on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts from. If you like us even more, consider dropping us a rating or a review. And as we say, if you are going to drop us a rating or a review, don't give us a 10 because that makes us big-headed, but don't give us a 1 because I am an ugly crier. So give us a 5 because it's in the middle and it's average. We're just a little bit average. But the person who's not been average tonight is the one wonderful, the rather fantastic, the flesh-eating marvel. That is Mr. Mark Talyor. Thank you very much for coming on, sir. There's only 2 more things to do. The first thing is to say goodbye. So, it's a goodbye from Mark. Goodbye. Say goodbye, Mark. Say goodbye. Say goodbye, Mark.
Goodbye. Thank you. Yep, goodbye. And, thank you for listening.
Yes, thank you for listening. And it's a goodbye from me. Remember, stay safe. Roll 6s. Don't leave the back doors open. Watch out for the zombie horde. Try and gather your survivors together, and and check out Mark's game. Give it a look. Definitely give it a look because it's going to be really, really cheap as chips. Was it 25 quid maximum? I mean, do you get anything cheaper than that really for a game? No.
No. So I mean, the cheapest on there currently until they'll go is the early bird.
Of course.
And then once that's gone, you've then got just the basic pledge, which is
nothing. Still, it's not even a decent kind of takeaway. Let's be honest. So,
and if you want to be adventurous, you can always go for our highest pledge level reward, which is £200 or more, and have your likeness put onto a card, become either a civilian or zombie in the game.
It's just getting cheeky now.
Yeah.
Say goodbye, Mark.
Take care. Bye.
And it's a goodbye from me. Until next time. Brains. Goodbye.